Fans and watchers have been left perplexed for several weeks due to the fact that Greg Gutfeld has been noticeably absent from the five. Concerning his sudden disappearance, there have been rumors going around, with many people guessing about a variety of things, ranging from health problems to legal disputes. Fox News has at long last verified the reality of the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. What exactly is the reason for his absence, and could you please tell me how long he will be gone? As we explore the stunning truths of Greg Gutfeld's unexpected break and what lies next for the beloved host, we invite you to stay with us on this journey. There is a lot of interest in the late-night show that Gutfeld hosts in terms of the overall number of viewers, consistently the show with the greatest ratings on late-night television. He is also a member of The Five, which is the show with the highest ratings on the network, with the highest ratings on cable television. It is possible that he is the most well-known individual in the cable news industry in this regard. Despite the fact that Jesse Waters, one of his co-hosts on The Five, gives him a run for his money, he is without a doubt one of the funniest people in the world. Indeed, that is not so much a criticism as it is recognition of the brand. Gutfeld is famous for this particular trait. Lately, Gutfeld has been absent from television, and as is the case whenever someone misses a show, people begin to speculate about the reason for his absence. Has he been fired, or is there something else going on? This is something that occurs with both local and national television news. But come on, in the instance of Gutfeld, do you really believe that they would terminate such a well-known personality? To put it simply, in this unpredictable world, almost anything is possible. Before we get into the real reason for Greg's absence, let's take a moment to discuss some unexpected aspects of his life. Are you able to conjecture the explanation before we reveal it to you? For more than a decade, Greg Gutfeld has been a consistent presence on Fox News, a cable news network that leans to the right. As a result, viewers of Fox News are familiar with his broadcasts. After beginning his career as a contributor in 2007, Greg was eventually selected to anchor the irreverent middle-of-the-night show, which is known as Red Eye, on the network. The place was where his talent for politically incorrect comedy took off, and it was there that he built a devoted audience of people who suffered from insomnia. His audience consisted of people who were breastfeeding, people who had hyperactive bladders, and people who were addicted to methamphetamine, as he quipped to the Daily Beast. There were other things that kept Gutfeld busy at Fox News when he was there, in addition to getting late-night laughs. Daytime viewers also saw him bring his contrarian beliefs to The Five, a daily panel show in which Gutfeld, as one of 5 regular panelists, presented his generally distorted take on the news of the day. In addition to Red Eye, daytime viewers also watched him bring his opposite opinions to The Five. The fact that Greg Gutfeld is politically right-wing with a libertarian sensibility is something that viewers who follow him are fully aware of. It is important to note that he was not always a staunchly conservative by nature. When I was a teenager, I was a liberal, Gutfeld remembered in an interview with Reason in 2009. He was in the process of recounting how he eventually came to the realization that he was a complete and utter liar. The years that he spent in college were the time when his political ideas began to develop, particularly when he was a student at Berkeley, which is known for its left-leaning ideology. I became a conservative by being around liberals, and I became a libertarian by being around conservatives, he remarked, indicating that his individualist inclination has been the driving force behind his political leanings. You realize that there is something distinctly in common between the two groups, the left and the right. The worst part of each of them is the moralizing. Following his graduation from college, Greg Gutfeld embarked on a career in magazine journalism, beginning his career with the publication The American Spectator, which is in the conservative category. An disappointing attempt at screenwriting drove Gutfeld to pursue additional magazine employment, including acting as editor of Men's Health, Stuff, and Maxim's British edition. As Profile and Reason noted, Gutfeld's career in the magazine industry would continue to flourish. Even Gutfeld had to confess that being the editor of Men's Health wasn't a particularly strong fit for his irreverent point of view, despite the fact that racy men's magazines such as Stuff and Maxim proved to be a good fit for his point of view. I was the only editor of any health magazine that did a feature on how smoking is good for you, he said in an article headlined, "I Smoke and I Work at Men's Health." Reason was the publication that published his statement. Over the course of his tenure on Red Eye, Greg Gutfeld's propensity to make outrageous statements in an attempt to garner attention caused controversy, often to a greater extent than he had anticipated. The situation was just like that with an episode in which he made fun of the military role that Canada plays in Afghanistan. It was reported by CBC News that Gutfeld was discussing a recent announcement that the Canadian military might need a year of recovery time after the country ended its military presence in Afghanistan. This would mean that the Canadian military wanted to take a break in order to do some yoga, paint landscapes, and run on the beach while wearing gorgeous white capri pants, Gutfeld joked. In response to the joke that Gutfeld made, Canadians expressed their outrage, particularly from Peter MacKay, who was serving as the Defense Minister of Canada at the time. MacKay referred to Gutfeld's remarks as crass, insensitive, and in fact disgusting. Gutfeld later issued an apology stating that his joke was not in any way an attempt to make light of the efforts that the troops were making. However, I realize that my words may have been misunderstood. It was not my intent to disrespect the brave men, women, and families of the Canadian military, and for that I apologize. There were several instances in which Greg Gutfeld made contentious remarks, and insulting Canada was not the only one. During the year 2010, he expressed his opinion on his blog, The Daily Gut, over the proposed construction of a mosque and community center for Muslims on the land that was formerly known as Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan. Gutfeld claimed that he intended to construct and launch the first gay bar that would cater not just to homosexual men from the West, but also to gay men from Islamic countries, and that it would be located immediately next to the location of the mosque. As a citizen of the United States, I am of the opinion that they have every right to construct the mosque. After all, if they purchase the site and operate in accordance with the law, who can stop them? Consequently, in the spirit of outreach, I have made the decision to do the same thing, he said, explaining his decision. Gutfeld was adamant that this was not a joke, and he pointed out that Islam does not look favorably upon homosexuality. This is the reason why he was erecting the bar. On the other hand, he asserted that his objective was to eliminate barriers and lessen the prevalence of homophobia in the Islamic world. Regarding the so-called cancel culture, Greg Gutfeld has not been bashful about expressing his opinions over the matter. During an interview with Outkick, he was candid about how social media has turned into something of a minefield. This is simply due to the fact that it gives everyone a platform on which they may communicate idiotic opinions that may later come back to harm them. It is possible that Gutfeld regards Twitter more as a promotional tool than a digital soapbox. Yet this does not prevent him from expressing his beliefs whenever he considers it necessary to do so. Aside from the controversies that have surrounded Greg in his work life, his marriage has been a talking point for a very long time. Over the course of his career, Greg Gutfeld has made it his mission to express his vehement and colorful political ideas on Fox News, including on his own show, Gutfeld. On the other hand, the truth regarding Gutfeld's private life is not generally known to the public. His marriage to Elena Musa, a Russian photo editor and stylist who was over 20 years his junior, is included in this category. On the other hand, Musa used to post images of his wife on Instagram rather frequently. However, he has not published any of them since 2021. Gutfeld is barely ever mentioned on Instagram by Musa. Even then, the photos provided very little insight into their connection. Gutfeld chose to publish pictures of lunch dates and casual outings with his family rather than photographs of their relationship. An exception was made by the 5 co-hosts in the month of March 2022. Considering that Russia had invaded Ukraine, Gutfeld disclosed that his mother-in-law was unable to leave the country and described the attempts he had made to get her out of there. Perhaps by tomorrow or the next day, she will be with her daughter, and it's because of those guys who work for Fox News. He thanked his co-workers who assisted his family. Maybe by tomorrow or the next day. The celebration of his mother-in-law, which took place 2 months later, provided a rare peek into the dynamics of his entire family life. Happy Mother's Day to Elena's mom. Thanks for creating the best thing in my life, he captioned the Instagram photo that he made in May of 2021. The friendship between Greg Gutfeld and Elena Musa has endured the test of time, despite the fact that they are so drastically different in age. In the year 2024, Greg Gutfeld, who was born in September 1964, celebrated his big 60th birthday with the assistance of his colleagues at Fox News. Just 2 weeks prior, Elena Musa celebrated her birthday, despite the fact that she turned 42 years old, which is a significantly younger age. What this indicates is that they are almost exactly 18 years apart, which is a significant age gap, especially when one considers the length of time that Gutfeld and Musa have been together. In late 2004, when she was only 22 years old and he was 40 years old, the couple celebrated their marriage in a civil ceremony in the state of New York. From the very beginning, it seemed as though the age difference was not a problem at all. When I saw her, I said to the editor of Maxim Russia, "Who is this woman?" Greg recalls telling me. 5 months later, they died the knot, and I foolishly hit on her for what seemed like 3 days. In later years, Musa transitioned into the field of fashion design, where she received her degree from Parsons School of Design in 2017. The interaction between paper and cloth was investigated through the creation of a collection of theatrical turbans that she developed while she was working on her studies. The connection between the pair is frequently recognized for its consistency and the fact that it is kept low-key. Even though many celebrity marriages are subject to public scrutiny and difficulties, Greg and Elena have been able to maintain a solid connection with one another. It is admirable that they are able to support each other's careers while also being able to keep their personal lives private, despite the scrutiny of the media. The humorous and outspoken attitude of Greg, on the other hand, frequently finds its way into his remarks about marriage, both on his show and in interviews. Anecdotes regarding marital life that are humorous and lighthearted have been recounted by Greg on occasion, demonstrating his whimsical disposition. These instances shed light on a facet of Greg that is cherished by his audience. He is someone who does not take himself too seriously and places a high emphasis on the lighter side of relationships. As we circle back around to the inexplicable absence of Greg, have you been able to make any educated guesses about what might have occurred? After Greg Gutfeld has been absent from his shows for an extended period of time, particularly The Five, people have begun to speculate about his whereabouts. Many followers are currently asking whether the well-known host has been terminated from his position at Fox News. Greg is a key pull for people on the network, and his disappearance has not gone ignored. He is known for his clever commentary and biting humor, and his presence on the network is a significant draw for audiences. As a result of his persistent absence, speculations have been spreading that he may be involved in some kind of issue that could result in his termination from his position. People who watch the show have theorized that the reason for his vacation could be due to a disagreement about the substance of the show or a quarrel that occurred behind the scenes. It is a probable trend that Greg might be following. Several people have alluded to the fact that Fox has a history of firing high-profile hosts in the midst of problems, such as Tucker Carlson and Bill O'Reilly. A further factor that has contributed to the suspicion is the fact that Greg has not been present on The Five, which has continued to air with his co-hosts engaged in conversations about critical social, political, and economic concerns. Many people are curious about what might have occurred because Greg's absence has created a significant hole in the show, despite the fact that the show continues to keep its dynamic. As a result of his outspoken and frequently divisive ideas, he has periodically found himself in a sticky situation, which has led some of his followers to speculate that a similar incident would be the cause of his unexpected absence. In spite of the numerous reports that are circulating, there is not much evidence to imply that Greg Gutfeld has been terminated from his position at Fox News. In point of fact, he recently posted an update on X regarding his comedy show, which is also broadcast on Fox. Through the post, he provided information about the most recent guests that were featured on the program, which is an indication that he continues to be actively associated with the network. A great number of admirers were reassured by this update that Greg is most likely only taking a short break and would not be subject to any severe consequences. The only one to respond was Greg. Additionally, during the course of his media career, Greg has established a solid rapport with both his audience and the network. Because of his one-of-a-kind sense of style and comedy, he has become an indispensable member of Fox's lineup. In light of his widespread popularity, it is quite improbable that the network would decide to break ways with him without first making a public announcement. Whenever Fox has severed connections with high-profile hosts in the past, public statements have been issued by both the network and the personalities involved in order to address the problem. It is not clear what exactly caused Greg to be absent from the meeting. The reason could be something as simple as a prearranged break, something more personal, or even something linked to health that has not yet been reported. The supporters have been left to guess because they have not been provided with any specific information. Nonetheless, there is no sufficient evidence to support the claim that he has been sacked. During this interim period, viewers will be required to wait for either the return of Greg or an official explanation presented by either the host or the network. It seems that his absence is only going to be temporary for the time being, and the speculations that he is going to be fired are nothing more than rumors. There have been a number of hypotheses proposed, the most prevalent of which is that Greg took some time off in order to concentrate on himself and his mental health. Given the responsibilities that come with working in a high-profitable media setting, it would not be completely surprising if Greg made the decision to take some time off in order to prioritize his own self-care and get some much-needed rest. Over the past several years, mental health has emerged as a topic that has received a lot of attention, and a lot of public personalities have made the decision to put their own well-being first, in a manner that is comparable to those of other celebrities who have openly revealed their difficulties with mental health. Viewers have expressed their support for the concept that Greg might be taking a sabbatical in order to manage stress or personal challenges. There is also the potential that Greg is absent because of illness, which is another theory that has been brought forward. Some of his followers have hypothesized that he may have been coping with a health problem that has not been acknowledged. This argument, on the other hand, appears to be less plausible given that there has been no recent media coverage or stories that suggest Greg has been ill. As a result of the fact that he has not made any public pronouncements regarding his health, many people are under the impression that if illness were the cause, such information would have most certainly been published by the media or the network. The real reason for Greg's absence is a pleasant surprise that no one could have anticipated having any bearing on the situation. The mystery surrounding Greg Gutfeld's abrupt departure from Fox News has at long last been solved, which has taken viewers by utter surprise. Many people were taken aback when Gutfeld, who was 60 years old, became a father. During the previous week's episode of The Five, Dana Perino, who was also a co-host on the show, made the announcement. "This is going to be a great surprise for a lot of you," Perino explained to reporters. "You might have noticed that our friend Greg Gutfeld hasn't been here for a couple of weeks, and it's for a good reason. This is a statement that he sent me today, so I'm reading this as if I'm Greg. It is with great joy that my wife Elena and I have welcomed a baby girl into the world. Marrera is healthy, with a real set of lungs." In typical fashion, Greg's announcement included a touch of humor. "She has Elena's beautiful eyes and my rock-hard abs. We are hard at work teaching her 3 languages and putting her through rigorous workout routines." Additionally, according to reports, he was unable to resist making a fun jibe at colleague presenter Jesse Waters. He added, "She is already very observant and has asked if Jesse wears a toupee. I told her that he definitely wears a wig." More hints were provided in Greg's message. He also shared the personal news on social media, concluding his post with a humorous comment about his French bulldog. He also shared the news on his own blog. "As you can understand, we value our privacy, and we thank everyone for the good wishes. And now I have to go stop Gus from licking her face." Each of the 5 hosts extended their congratulations to Gutfeld in their own unique style. "We are there in spirit," Perino remarked, "just not changing diapers." Waters weighed in with, "We're enjoying the time without you. Take as long as you want." In the middle of the outpouring of heartfelt congratulations from fans on his revelation, there were some who were taken aback by the surprise announcement. And one user on Twitter voiced their shock by saying, "Literally the very last thing I thought his absence would be about. What a pleasant surprise. I forgive him for being gone now." Another user from Twitter, who was also stunned, commented, "I never saw that coming." "Did you hear the news?" Another person weighed in with, "Just heard the news. Surprised but happy for them. Wow." The start of Greg and Elena's relationship took place in London, where she worked as a picture editor for Maxim magazine, and he was in charge of the United Kingdom edition of the publication from 2004 to 2006. The Fox News personality headed to his Instagram account on Christmas Day to share a few holiday-themed posts with the 541,000 people who follow him there. An oh-sweet picture of his cherished French bulldog Gus lounging on the couch was the first thing that he uploaded to his account. Along with it, Greg included the following. "As usual, he got me nothing for Christmas, although he left something that looks like coal in the middle of the living room." Fans of the show are eagerly expecting Greg's return to the show, now that the true cause for his absence has been disclosed. The United States of America has been curious about Greg's whereabouts. Well, the mystery has been solved. Greg Gutfeld, the beloved host of The Greg Gutfeld Show, will not be returning to Fox News until January 2025, remarked Kat Tim, who was serving as a guest host. Greg, who has recently become a father for the first time, has decided to take a break from his demanding work in order to completely embrace this exciting new chapter in his life. He is taking time off to spend with his family and experience the joys of fatherhood. This decision to emphasize family is a reflection of Greg's desire to be present with his child during these priceless early times in his life. His followers have shown a great deal of support for his decision, saying that they recognize the significance of spending time with family and taking pleasure in the significant moments that come with being a father. Despite the fact that his absence will be felt, the anticipation that fans have for his return is growing as they eagerly anticipate his return with a new point of view and renewed vigor. The return of Greg to Fox News in January 2025 will undoubtedly be something that fans will eagerly anticipate, as they are eager to observe how his time spent with his family will impact his profession and his sense of humor. In the meantime, Greg is making sure to give himself the time he needs to fully appreciate his new role as a father.